Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch You Want, and thanks for logging on. Now, the name Franck Muller may be better associated with Geneva and traditional high horology culture, but this particular reference is the Franck Muller Master Banker Havana, 43mm lug-to-lug in 18-karat rose gold. This one is evocative of gorgeous tropical Havana, Cuba, the pastel tones of the seaside, the old town in the UNESCO World Heritage Site at the city center, the smell of a cigar, the feel of the wind in your hair in a 1957 Ford Fairlane convertible, I may add. Now, the tonneau shape itself is a bit of an evocative piece. One of the original wristwatch styles from the 19-teens. It stayed in, I would say, favor through 1920s, 1930s, into the early 1940s. And I think you can imagine Ernest Hemmingway himself during his Cuban period in the late 30s, early 40s, wearing something very much like this on his wrist while fishing off the Cuban coast or driving through the city streets of Havana, Cuba. The bottom line is that this watch, 43mm lug-to-lug, does not wear like a conventional 43mm watch. 43 is pushing the limits for my wrist, which is 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, but this one's actually 31mm across, so you can see it's actually a very comfortable, very compact shape. The tonneau works as well today as it did during the 1930s, and you can see that it actually sits very low on the wrist as well. The very supple, monotone black stitch alligator strap is exceptionally comfortable, and this uniquely styled Franck Muller matching 18-karat pin buckle allows for minute adjustments in a way that a bracelet simply would not. This is a perfect combination to a traditional dress reference, and the colors of the dial are themselves evocative of this particular watch's inspiration. You have that gorgeous key lime of the loom applied at 12, 9, and 6 o'clock. You can see a little bit of a pastel pink in the rose gold chapter rings of the subdials at 6 and 12, and of course there's the gorgeous deep cobalt heat-blued hands of the subdials and the continuous center seconds. And I want to add that there's a bit of a consonant, almost bronze tone to this hour track that matches the color of the rose gold beautifully, as well as the applied indices and the rose gold hands themselves. Warm is the word. That's what I feel when I look at this watch. It even seems to have a slightly rose-colored, almost rose-colored bronze accent that's evident in each of the subdials at 12 and 6, and those subdials are the heart and soul of this watch's complicated appeal. Now, Franck Muller is known as the master of complications, and while he also does a number of fine, simple watches, this one actually features a complication of special note, with not one, but two separate reference time zones in addition to the civil time at center, making for 1, 2, 3 separate independently set time zones. This is, after all, from the Master Banker line, so it's designed for a man of the world, a man of affairs who's going to want to keep tabs on locations far-flung, disparate, and many. The bottom line is that this is a very practical timepiece. Although it's evocative, although it's a little bit whimsical in its use of color and its evocative tones, in the romance of the historical shape and the warmth of the rose gold, being able to keep track of 3 separate time zones, the one in which you're located, as well as separate references for friends, family, or business connections in far-flung places, is exceptionally useful. And with a date wheel and automatic winding, this watch arguably has everything you're ever going to need in a formal timepiece. This is a great companion for a suit. This is a great companion for casual attire like polo shirts and cargo shorts. This is one that's, I would say, just as at home eating out on a shoreside restaurant as it is in the boardroom. So while I wouldn't go diving with it, this is a watch that's always welcome in just about any company and any attire. I want to add that this movement, which is the Franck Muller caliber 2800, based on the ETA 2892A2, is actually a very fine and refined timepiece itself. Now, the movement itself is enhanced by a platinum winding rotor. So Franck Muller finishes all of these individually at his factory in Geneva, and the platinum rotor is key because by increasing the amount of mass at the end of the winding assembly, it increases the efficiency of the 2892's already outstanding winding system, so that this watch, with its considerable power draw from a date window and 3 separate time-telling dials, is always topped off on the wrist. It has a 42-hour power reserve, and it has a hacking mechanism so that when you pull the crown, it will stop the center seconds, stopping the balance, allowing you to set the watch precisely to a reliable reference time such as an atomic clock or a known accurate quartz. I'll also add that this dial, although expressive and a little bit exuberant, is also fully lumed, so appropriately enough for a traveler's watch, you can view it at night and in low light conditions. This watch is in outstanding condition. Although it hails from the late 1990s, it presents as new in every respect. The rose gold case, including the brushed finish on the case back, presents outstanding. The polish on the case flank, likewise immaculate, and the bezel surrounding that beautiful, complex, multi-layered, multi-tone dial segues seamlessly into the cambered crystal that is itself a Franck Muller signature. And the seamless transition from case to crystal is, in my opinion, one of the unsung but most beautiful features of these Franck Muller tonneau watches. This one, more than a beauty, has an exceptional story behind it, with the romance of old Cuba and, for those of us in the United States, with diplomatic relations possibly thawing in the future, maybe we'll even get to wear this watch on the waterfront in Old Havana. But regardless, this Franck Muller Master Banker Havana triple time zone in 18 karat rose gold is guaranteed to take you there, if you haven't been already.